Hey everybody, congratulations, we got up this morning. I said in my last video that October was National Bullying Prevention Month, so I thought I'm going to be just a tad more vulnerable than I usually am in these videos and share with you my own school bullying story. So, thank you Eden for showing me how to be vulnerable. Eden is in my YouTube support group and she did her own vulnerable story, and I was really touched. So, let's see. I don't think I was bullied throughout my childhood until about third grade. Third grade started like the isolation period where it wasn't really cool to invite the whole class to your party anymore. So I was really isolated. We don't want you to sit there. We weren't talking to you, that kind of stuff. It wasn't really like hardcore bullying, but it started, and I started feeling really alone. Fourth grade was the big kahuna. Something happened that's not YouTube friendly, so I'm not going to tell you the whole thing, but it happened in the library, and we were watching a movie. The movie was kind of babysitting us. The librarian was doing her own little work, which isn't the best teaching scenario, but you know. And nobody really believed me. The librarian didn't believe me. My teacher didn't believe me. My teacher was kind of a bully in her own right. She told my mom that she had a cousin with spina bifida, and spina bifida was like cerebral palsy, so of course she knew how to deal with me. Luckily, she was pregnant, and the guy that we got when she went on maternity leave, who eventually ended up taking her job, was amazing. He was brilliant. He had, I believe, juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, so he understood like when I needed a break at the end of the day, when I was stamina and that kind of stuff, when I was getting kind of tired, when I would put my head on the desk that I wasn't really trying to fall asleep, that kind of stuff. So he was a gem, but she was not. I think I got bullied by a teacher every 4 years or so. Yeah, every 4 years or so. So that wasn't the most professional thing to have happened, but it happened. Fifth grade, the person who perpetrated the incident in fourth grade was still in my class. I really should have switched classes in fourth grade, but since they didn't really believe me, that didn't happen. I did switch classes in fifth grade, though, because my parents threw a royal fit, and then fifth grade was relatively decent after I switched classes. Homerooms, I switched homerooms, because we all, like, moved classes in fifth grade. We were getting ready for the middle school model, so we all, like, as a class, moved classes from homeroom to different subjects. And then on the summer between 5th and 6th grade, I had a surgery. And in my area, 6th grade and 7th grade and 8th grade are middle school, which is not a period I would repeat in my life for about $1 million. I would still not repeat it. If you gave me $1 million, I would say, oh heck no. But between 5th and 6th grade, I had a surgery, an ortho surgery on my legs. And so I was still recuperating, so I got into 6th grade about a week after everybody else. And here's the deal. I was in a wheelchair, so I had an aide. I had an aide who was about a little younger than my age now. I think he was still in college, and when he didn't have classes, that was his job, to push me around in the wheelchair, because at that point, my school didn't have an elevator. They do now, and I know this because they're my polling place now. But, they didn't have an elevator back then, so we had to go through the boiler room, outside in any kind of weather, which sucked, and go inside the door and to my class, aside from going in the stairwell, which was a nightmare. And so I didn't get that whole nice to meet you period, so I felt that I was kind of the awkward one. And we had A side and B side in my middle school, so there were like 8 or so teachers in a certain grade, and 4 total on one side, 4 total on the other side. So I made a couple friends in science. I remember my aide used to tell me to stop talking in science and listen to the video that we were watching. My aide was like, Maggie, stop talking. But he was pretty nice. He was pretty cool. I had him 6th and 7th grade. I didn't have him 8th grade because 8th grade was all on one floor, so I didn't necessarily need him, quote unquote. So I had like students help me in 8th grade. 8th grade was terrible. Absolutely, positively terrible. We had another incident with a boy this time who got suspended. So they believed me that time. He got suspended, and I was put on a 4-day work week because I was so 4-day work week, 4-day school week, because I was so like crushed by everything that. Jeez, phone. I'll just hold you here. Here, I'll just hold the phone. It's in like a stabilizer, but it's not very stabilized right now. So I was on a 4-day school week because I was just so devastated I didn't want to go to school. Everybody was making fun of me. I remember in 7th grade, let me backtrack a little bit, we had a New York trip. And we were put into groups via chaperones. Like, every chaperone had 2 or 3 people in the group. And so, my dad wanted to take me to New York because he loves traveling. And, the girl that was supposed to be in my group, it was supposed to be the 2 of us, right? The girl that was supposed to be in my group she wanted to be with her own friends. And I was so excited that I had, like, a person in my group that we were going to hang out. But she wanted to be with her own friends, so she went to the teacher and was like, I want to be with my own friends, I don't want to be with this chick. And so he told me, like, would you be okay just being alone with your dad, because this girl doesn't want to be in your group. And I was in a people-pleasing kind of mood, even though I was really disappointed. I was in a people-pleasing kind of mood, so I was like, you know what, sure, go ahead. Like, I thought we were going to have a good day, but go ahead, be with your own friends. And, we didn't end up having a good day, me and my dad. We made a lot of memories. He showed me around. It was my first time in New York. I would go again to see Wicked on my 24th birthday with him, which was awesome. But that was a long time from then. 8th grade, once again, I had another teacher bully me, to the point where I went to the bathroom. Yeah, that was fun. She told me that I kept skipping her class to go to the bathroom because I have CP. And finding a bathroom with a handicap stall. I hate the word handicap. Why do they still call it a handicap stall? Anyway, finding a bathroom with a disability stall took a while, right? So, and I was walking by myself, so that takes a while too. I didn't have an aide pushing a wheelchair or hurrying me along, so that takes a while too. And so it took me a while to go to the bathroom. And she always complained that I missed about 5 minutes of her class. Well, like, I'm sorry, but that's the way the cookie crumbles, right? And my mom was so pissed. She was royally mad. This is the way my mom is. when she's a mama bear when things go wrong. So when that happened, I was put on a 4-day school week because I did not want to go to school ever. Like, I would cry, I would get all anxious, I would shake. It was terrible. So here comes high school. High school is a bit better. I have a resource teacher because we had a resource center at my high school, like for people who have disabilities or of any kind. We called it by an acronym. I'm not going to reveal the acronym here because for the people in my area that might reveal what school I went to, which is not cool. But we called it by an acronym, and that was our resource room. And when I went there, our resource teacher was amazing. There was actually a staff of them, but the head teacher was absolutely a gem. Now, I knew these teachers because my dad was also a teacher. So I knew these teachers growing up. And so that helped a lot. I knew them, they knew me. And I don't know if I should have told you that my dad's a teacher, but it doesn't really show you what school we went to, so I think it's fine. So, once again, actually, against pattern, I was bullied by a teacher who thought that because I was a faculty kid, I was getting special treatment. So I guess she decided to go the complete opposite way and try to treat me like quote unquote every other normal kid, but she went the complete opposite direction in the spectrum. So she pointed me out, made me stand out. And at this point, I had gotten an electric scooter. So, but I was still by myself, transporting myself. So it took me a few extra minutes to get from class to class. So I stayed for one class until 5 minutes before the bell rang, and then I went to my other class. Well, she kept saying, Maggie keeps leaving early, Maggie keeps leaving early, Maggie's not paying attention, Maggie this, that, and the other thing, right? She kept writing me demerits, because at this point I was not paying attention because I hated her. And the head of the department started figuring out that I was not learning what I needed to learn. So he let me have theology. It was my theology teacher. He let me have theology in the resource room, kind of independently. And that turned out well. And then I ended up going through high school. I still got bullied a little bit, but I ended up finding my niche. And then I went to college. And this professor absolutely would not give me my accommodations. He would not allow me to go into the accommodation room when I had tests. He was like, oh, you can get your accommodations here. And part of my accommodations were having my test in a relatively quiet environment because I would get anxious when people were talking or yada yada. I would get anxious and it would just overload me, right? So, but I kept failing his test. And he was like, I don't know why you're failing tests. You seem to be getting the material, right? So finally, I went to what in college was called the Office of Disability Services. And I was like, this guy isn't giving me my accommodations. You need to talk to him. You need to talk to his head of department. You need to fix this, right? And she was a gem too. When I was in junior and senior year, of high school, they had started us on the road to advocating for ourselves. And we're like, you're going to college now, you're going to need to learn how to do this for yourself. So I was kind of used to asserting myself by now. And I think I was a sophomore or a freshman when this happened. It was one of my science courses, and I'm not good at science, like, at all. I wanted to be a doctor when I grew up. First of all, I wasn't good with needles, and second, I wasn't good with science. So, obviously, being a doctor did not unfold the way I wanted it to. But, so, there's that. I ended up going for education. And hopefully I'm educating some of you right now. But, where was I? Oh, yeah. So, she did, and she came back to me and was like, yeah, it's well known that he's not the most warm and fuzzy person ever. So, she was like, the director of disability services was like, you need to follow these accommodations by law. You need to do this. There's a law it's a national law, it's called the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. And people need to follow it because of 1990, I think. It's been amended before, but I think it came into being in 1990. But, so I ended up getting my accommodations. And here's the moral of the story. When I got my accommodations, I ended up getting the best score in the class. I think it was like an 83 or whatever, but he was a tough teacher. He was really tough. I think it was physics, so that was tough. Or something. Physics? Something really niche like that. But it was a science requirement. I had to take it. And so, there's my moral of my story. Always assert yourself to someone who can help you, because you don't need to be bullied for the rest of your life. Like, it's not necessary. And you're either going to be bullied or you're going to be the bully. So, you don't need to be either. It's different learning how to assert yourself. That's different, but you need to stand up for yourself in a humane way. And people will always be there to help you. And sometimes they won't, but you need to go over their heads if they don't believe you, if they're not going to believe you. You need to go over your heads and find someone who will. I should have gone to the principal back in 4th grade. That's what we should have done, but we didn't. Because the principal loved me. She loved me. I'm sure it would have been a better situation if I had. But there's always someone who's going to be willing to help you. There's a Harry Potter quote that I like. Help will always be given at Hogwarts to those who ask for it. I'm a big Harry Potter fan. But there's a quote that's one of my favorite quotes. And so it's true. Help will always be given to those who ask for it. And so that's the moral of my story. Again, October is National Bullying Prevention Month. And I hope you guys, well, I'm not sure if this is a story you can really enjoy, but I hope you found something in it. And I will see you guys later. Bye.